Truth Seeker 333 on my way to work. And I wanted to talk about INTJ weaknesses with regard to the ENFP INTJ relationship. So, essentially, one of the main weaknesses that the INTJ has very clearly is to convey emotions in an efficient manner. Or in a manner that is up to speed with an ENFP or an INFJ or an ENFJ. So the problem being is that, as an INTJ myself, I have very few times in my life that I can recall where I was completely in tune with my emotions. And it was like a wonderful gift from God that for a week or 2 weeks, I was just this wonderful human being that I could just connect so freely. And I felt so in touch with everything, And to this day, I am trying, I continue to strive after that feeling. And, a lot of times I think to myself that maybe I had just sort of been given that gift for a season, to know what it is to be in contact with your emotional essence, And so this is a great difficulty in the INTJ ENFP relationship. But, for those people that fall in love, and they're very tolerant with each other, they love each other for better or for worse. We're patient with one another, And the ENFP allows the INTJ to learn more about their emotions and because the ENFP definitely puts more priority on emotional experiences and has this database of emotional experiences that they draw on a daily basis to make their own decisions about what they need to do in their life. Well, see, that's the problem, is that there's this constant back and forth between the INTJ and ENFP, in that they challenge each other. The INTJ is constantly challenging the ENFP to not consider the emotional side of things, while the ENFP is constantly challenging the INTJ to reconsider the emotional side of the situation. And so that can be a source of frustration, but it can also be a great opportunity for both to grow, as individuals and with each other. And so this weakness of the INTJ not to prioritize emotions, not to be in connection with the emotional, within the INTJ, the emotions are like buried, they're like pushed down, if you want to like think of it that way. They're kind of like on the subterranean level. But they're in this unconscious state where the INTJ is going through all of these emotional things, and their bodies may be reacting. Maybe we're getting sick. Maybe we're not sleeping. Maybe we're pacing or developing some sort of a nervous habit or obsessive compulsive behavior or something. But it's an emotional motivation that we're not aware of. It's like we're going through it, but our body is reacting on a physical level. And so essentially the ENFP, as they get to know the INTJ, they know how to read those signals, and so they look at the INTJ as this intriguing person that they want to figure out what they're feeling. And over time, they do. The ENFP finally figures out, their partner, and they figure out where they're at and what they're going through and how to approach them. And that's the beauty of the INTJ ENFP relationship, is that at first the ENFP has trouble reading the INTJ, but at the same time they learn over time how to connect with the INTJ on an emotional level. And they begin to actually see things through the eyes of the INTJ. And vice versa. The INTJ begins to see things through the eyes of an ENFP. And that's the wonderful gift that the INTJ, and why they're attracted to the ENFP. Because the INTJ wants to see the world through an emotional lens, And it's not that we don't. We want to see it with a wider spectrum of emotion. We don't just want to see the world through the primary colors of emotion. We want to see all the secondary and tertiary colors of all the thousands of various colors, that you can see on an emotional level. And so it's a weakness of the INTJ, and it can be, it can be a source of frustration. It can be the center of conflict in a relationship. And you know what? All relationships have conflict. And if they didn't, then they wouldn't be a relationship. So, everybody needs to hang in there and just continue to look past our weaknesses, and then see how we can learn from each other. And so we need to just remember that when we fall in love, we make a commitment in sickness and in health. A lot of times we might look at that as a mental sickness. The INTJ is in a state of mental sickness that they are trying to constantly overcome for the entirety of their lives. But it's up to each one of us to continue to push forward and to seek out love, seek the good things in our life, because we can't just keep going after our own desires. We have to realize that if we're going to get anywhere in life, we need to help others. We need to help others, and that's the bottom line. So, God bless everyone, and I look forward to my next video, and keep seeking